Triple Man City attack at home to Leeds. It's time to free hit. What could go wrong? Welcome back to another video. Hope you guys enjoyed game week 12. Game week 13 is a big one. Loads of triple captaincy in play. Haaland versus Leeds, I get it. But loads on free hit too. That's what I'm doing. And I'm delighted to show you my 15-man free hit squad in today's video. We're first, though, going to analyze the fixtures. And I think this is a pretty big one, right? Because loads of the teams that I'm backing have European commitments. So I think it's only right. And in today's video, we're also going to look at free hit 16 and just compare the two. Do a bit of due diligence, guys, right? So the teams that we're going big on free hit are Man City, possibly Spurs, Liverpool, possibly Forest and Villa too, right? So these are 5 teams that we like that are in European action. Of course, Chelsea are in Europe, Arsenal are in Europe. We're avoiding that one, right? Crystal Palace, we're avoiding them too. I think I am, rightly or wrongly. So first, let's just go through the teams that we like that have European commitments, right? So Man City, they played Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday, right? So 3 games in a week. I think the turnaround before Leeds is fine. Leverkusen is a home game. Leeds is a home game. Less travel. This matters, right? So Man City, I'm not expecting any mass rotation here. Of course, we'll be looking at minutes versus Leverkusen and maybe trying to get an edge as we go into that Leeds fixture. Leeds is a 3 o'clock kickoff. There is no early kickoff. So the deadline will be 1:30 on Saturday, and Man City Leeds is one of those football matches. Now, that's absolutely massive because we could get team leaks. We could hear a Foden or a Doku is starting, and we might need that on free hit. Spurs, well, they play Sunday, Wednesday, Saturday. That's a tight turnaround. It includes a trip to PSG, so a trip to Paris, and then they're staying in London either side of it. But 3 games in 6 days, well, that is tough. That is really tough. So I look at Spurs and I'll be looking at the 11s thinking, are we going to see mass rotation? Liverpool played Saturday, then it's Wednesday at home to PSV, Gakpo's old club. Could we see some rotation there at Liverpool? Probably. And then it's Sunday at West Ham. Saturday, Wednesday, Sunday feels fine for those looking at, say, a Mo Salah punt. Forest, well, they played Saturday. Then they have Malmo at home. So again, it was a home game in the week. Really does matter. You don't want trips to Scandinavia. And then it's Sunday versus Brighton, again at the City ground. So I'm not worried too much here about rotation. But we have seen Forest on those Thursday night games. They're actually resting a lot of key men. So again, come the weekend versus Brighton, fresh and ready to go. The likes of Gibbs White, certainly of interest on free hit. And then Villa, that's Sunday, Thursday, Sunday. But again, it's a home game in Europe against young boys. And then it's the Midlands derby, Aston Villa versus Wolves. So look, now the fixtures, good to see. But how about game week 13 versus game week 16? I want to show you my team, but before we do, let me just show you the 13 and 16 key fixtures that we'd be targeting. So these are the 2 standout, without doubt, standout weeks to free hit for the vast majority of teams. And free hit is so team dependent, guys. What we're looking for, first and foremost, is fixtures that are good, fixtures that you want to swerve for your team that you're heavily invested in. So, for example, do you have 5 players in Crystal Palace, Man United? If so, maybe it's a good week to take them out because you don't know how to call that game. Same with Chelsea and Arsenal. We're also looking for high upside fixtures, of which there are lots in 13, lots in 16. You can see them ticked here. By the way, guys, I would love you to hit the like button, but also subscribe to the channel if you've enjoyed the show. Thank you for all your support. Drop a comment below. Let me know what you're doing with your chips as well. So look, fixtures we like, and we'll talk about these when we get to the players, but we like Brentford, Burnley. We like City, Leeds. Many have double Bournemouth. It's a good week to swerve Bournemouth. You know, Semenyo, you might be worried about his fitness. Bournemouth go into Sunderland, not the best for Senesi. Happy to take my Bournemouth players out. Spurs, Fulham could be a one-year target, although I'm not sure with the Sunday, Thursday, Saturday turnaround. That's not great. Crystal Palace, Man United, I don't know how to call. And again, I've got Chris Richards, who could be injured. Mateta, Sarr, and Burmo. It could be a 3-3 and you wish you kept them. But knowing they're playing each other, it feels smart to take them out. Villa, Wolves I like because Wolves are on the ropes. Yes, Villa haven't been great, but Villa at home, I quite fancy them. Liverpool haven't been great, but I fancy them versus West Ham. Surely they need a reaction. And then Chelsea, Arsenal, we want to swerve. Game week 16, it's worth noting there are more of those big upside fixtures. In fact, there's a ton of them. Cole Palmer might be around. Chelsea, Everton. You go big Liverpool versus Brighton. Burnley even. I fancy Burnley at home to Fulham. Burnley have beaten teams around them at home this season. We saw them beat Sunderland. I think we've seen them beat Leeds at Turf Moor too. Arsenal Wolves is massive. Brentford Leeds is big. And then Man United Bournemouth. But all the teams I've just mentioned, you're probably going to buy a lot of those players. And in game week 16, you get the 5 free AFCON transfers. So you might be able to get to what looks like a free hit team in 16. And a lot of the teams I've just mentioned have good fixtures moving forward. You probably want to get on them. And I think game week 16 is also repeated. I think it's like game week 19 or 20 as well. So again, you're buying them for that fixture twice. You would want to avoid perhaps Palace, Man City, and you'd have a massive headache. Do you go without Haaland? Because if you go without Haaland, you can fit everyone else in. I don't think I want to be doing that. But 16 is one that might tempt you. I think it's about time we show the team, right? So I'm going game week 13. And I really like the team that I've come up with. Of course, this is subject to change. Of course, there will be a few tweaks. And I'm really going to react to what we see in these European fixtures. And I think that matters. But first, I'm going to be going triple City at home to Leeds. Erling Haaland will be triple captain for many. And I understand why. He was born in Leeds. His dad played for Leeds. It's a home fixture. We know he's a flat track bully. Haaland versus Leeds is a great matchup. But how do you really gain an edge? Lots will look at a Man City defender, and I get it. Man City will have high clean sheet odds, but do their defenders offer the big ceiling? You could argue Nico O'Reilly does because he's got goal threat. I'm always worried about an 8-0 start, especially if O'Reilly plays in the week. And I just think triple Man City attack is loads of fun. Like, if they go and win 3-4-0, these are the guys that are involved. If you can predict the starting 11, and there's always a big if with Man City, because if Foden or Doku was benched, it wouldn't be a massive surprise if Marmoush or Cherki came in. But as things stand, we might get team leaks, but also as things stand, the way Foden and Doku are playing, I like them both. Doku's been undroppable, starts every week now. And Foden, when Pep made his mass changes against Newcastle, it was really telling for me that he took off around 75 minutes. He took off Doku and Bernardo Silva and Cherki, made a triple attacking sub. The only attacking midfielder he kept on the pitch until the 87th minute, I think it was Phil Foden. Phil Foden is higher in the pecking order. He had a good game again against Newcastle. He keeps dodging points. This is surely the week he actually gets some points because he keeps missing big chances, but he's playing well. He's central to everything Man City are doing. He is their chief playmaker, and he links, we know from years gone by, links so well with Haaland. So I think Foden's worth the spend. At home to Leeds, I think you're buying that raffle ticket. You're buying that ticket to go and have that big win with a Foden and a Doku, because this is the one fixture on the calendar you go, if it was 4-0, you wouldn't be surprised. And I don't think we can look at any of the other fixtures and see that, right? Man City offer you that when they play at home to a team like Leeds, with all due respect, right? We've seen it. We've seen it time and again with Man City against the lower teams. Let's see how they play against Leverkusen, and let's see the minutes that the likes of Doku and Foden get. I'd love to see Foden benched, for example, against Leverkusen. Then he'd be a lock for me. So I'll be reacting a lot to the minutes I see on Tuesday, especially for the midfielders. Do we get an early sub for Haaland? Does Haaland come off at 60? Obviously, Haaland's in the free hit team regardless, but the timing of Man City Leverkusen is fine. Tuesday, Saturday turnaround is fine, but crucially, and I must stress this, a home fixture matters, because as soon as you're, say, Spurs and you go to Paris, you lose a day effectively through travel. The City players will still be relatively fresh because it's home and home. So let's go away from City. There's every chance I go Haaland, one of the attacking mids, and then say an O'Reilly or a Gvardiol or a Diaz. But as things stand, I want to chase the ceiling, and I think triple attack is the only way. Of course, Haaland's going to be my captain too. Didn't really expect to be talking about triple Brentford, but we're going to. This is the XG plot against Brighton. I was super impressed by Brentford. I have been super impressed by Brentford. You guys know I call them big chance Brentford last season under Thomas Frank. That's still big chance Brentford. And what I mean by that is they don't care about little chance, little chance, little chance. They care about, let's produce big chances. Now, sure, a couple of these big chances were penalties, but they get themselves into penalty position. They're direct. They go back to front real quick. And they've been super impressive this season. I thought they were unlucky against Brighton. I think it was a pretty even football match. Probably should have ended in a draw. But I like Igor Thiago very much. And I also think the defence will keep a clean sheet or two. Now, I know we haven't had real clean sheets from Brentford this season, but they did keep a clean sheet earlier this season against Aston Villa at home. Okay, like worth noting that. And they did keep a clean sheet against West Ham in game week 8. I think there's upside though with the Brentford defenders. And when you look at someone like Michael Coyote, who takes the long throws, the highest XG chain of all Brentford players, as we see here on this graphic, was Coyote, the right back, who's often so high. Could he get a goal or an assist versus Burnley? Of course he could. He takes the long throws too. He doesn't come with the DEFCON appeal of a Vandenberg or a Collins. I get that, and I could revert back. But then I go, will Brentford centre-backs versus Burnley get DEFCON? And usually centre-backs versus Burnley don't, because Burnley actually don't have the ball much, right? They don't do much to the opposition. So it's harder to get DEFCON against them. So therefore, why go safe with a Vandenberg or Collins for the DEFCON that you're not going to get? Go for the upside of a Coyote, I think probably makes sense. And that's what we've done here. Coyote is in. Igor Thiago is in. And at the moment, I've gone Kelleher. I don't know if I'll land on Kelleher. Obviously, you're looking for clean sheets, and I think we could get one here for Brentford. But Burnley did go to West Ham and score 2 goals. I have to remember that only 2 game weeks ago. But Igor Thiago, he's a must-have on free hit. He really is a must-have on free hit. And actually, there'll be a lot watching this video that aren't on free hit. You'll be buying Igor Thiago this week, and I understand why. I'll probably buy him in game week 16. It's worth noting his 2 best fixtures in the next 5 games are 13 and 16, the 2 free hit windows. I'll get to 16 and I'll probably use one of my 5 free transfers, bringing him in. I like Thiago very much. I like Coyote. Kevin Schade a tempter. My problem with Kevin Schade is where he plays. He's not as high as Dango or Damsgaard. He helps out in the midfield a lot, as we can see here. Now, Damsgaard and Dango didn't get 90 at the weekend, and Dango rarely does. Kevin Schade is a 90-minute man, but he's slightly deeper. 7 million, I want him a bit higher. But let's move away from Brentford attackers, because there's lots of other good options. Of course, there is. I am going eggs in baskets, if you haven't noticed. Triple City, triple Brentford. Well, now let's go to a couple of double ups. Double Nottingham Forest. Many of you might not be too familiar with Dan Ndoye's game, but he was brilliant in Serie A last season. Forest paid good money for him. And under Sean Dyche, who is a manager who doesn't rotate a huge amount, he has his favourites, right, Sean Dyche? We saw it at Everton. We saw it at Burnley. I always think of Sean Dyche as putting someone as a manager that when he's got his settled 11, he often runs with it. Now, Nottingham Forest have got a ton of good wide forwards. Hudson-Odoi, we like. Amari Hutchinson, we like. They've got options. James McAtee can play out wide. Callum Wendu can play out wide. But at the weekend, he just went with one wide man, and that was Ndoye. And he played Dominguez the other side, who's not a wide man, but played him there. I would say Ndoye is his first choice wide man and pretty damn nailed. I mean, you look at his minutes, 85, 90, 90, 82. If you're getting 80 plus, you're happy. He's 5.6 million. He's electric. He's fun to own. And I think he offers ceiling. And I think Brighton's a good opponent. Now, I rate Brighton in attack, but I always think they're a nice team to play against when you're the home team. Brighton on the road, come and have a go. Most teams on the road at that sort of mid-level Premier, like mid-table team, playing another mid-table team, you expect them to come and probably be fairly defensive. Not Brighton. They always come and attack. That will be good for Forest, who are brilliant at home under Dyche, or will be brilliant at home under Dyche, because it's what Dyche does, right? Dyche gets clean sheets at home, but he often wins football matches. Same at Burnley, same at Everton. It's going to be the same at the City ground. So let's see how Forest set up on Thursday. But if someone like an Ndoye is rested, I pick him straight away. Igor Jesus is a tempter too, by the way. But I like Forest at the minute. I thought they're super impressive versus Leeds. I like the spacing of Saturday, Thursday, Sunday for them in their 3 games. And I fancy them versus Forest. I really do. They've still got this momentum, this honeymoon period of Sean Dyche. And I think I can back into that. And I think Ndoye will be a proper differential. I prefer Gibbs White, but Gibbs White is a 2 million more. I don't have that 2 million on this team. So Gibbs White is a tempter. So is Ndoye. I've been impressed with his minutes. I like the fixture, but I'm going to go big on Forest. I say big. I'm going to go for another Forest player. 2 of my 11. You've got to have a Forest defender, haven't you? I know Brighton attack is fun. Minter, Welbeck. I own Minter myself. He's been great, but they didn't against Brentford. They didn't actually create any big chances. It was little chance, little chance, little chance. And I think Murillo, who got was it 17 or 18 DEFCON versus Liverpool? It was like out of this world, the amount of DEFCON he got. Now, he's not going to do that every week. Sorry, it was 19. If he goes and gets DEFCON and he doesn't keep a clean sheet but concedes one, you're on a 4-pointer, but he's got every chance of a clean sheet and bonus. And then you could be looking at double digits. I think Murillo is a lock for me. I really do. If I don't go Murillo, it would be a Sells. Or if I didn't have the money, you go to a fullback. But Murillo is the most expensive, but I think the best Forest defender to pick, given what we saw against Liverpool. And he offers goal threat too. We know he does. So double Forest. Didn't think I'd be here a couple of weeks ago, but here I am. Remember, at the end of this, I'm going to go through the teams that we're getting rid of and speak a bit about the risk, because it is risky. You're dropping your Palace and your Man United and your Chelsea and your Arsenal assets. I think I'm all right with that. Double Villa. Is this silly? Like, a Villa impressive enough? Have Villa been underwhelming this season? Have they been pretty poor this season? Yeah. But Wolves are dead and buried, aren't they? This is the derby. This is Villa at home. Again, let's see how Villa look Thursday night. They're playing young boys. Sunday, Thursday, Sunday turnaround. I just fancy Ollie Watkins for the ceiling. I don't know if I'll land on this. It could be Morgan Rogers. It could be no Aston Villa attacker. This is all about reacting to what I see from Villa on Thursday and how much money I have to spend. Villa are not a priority for me in this free hit, but as things stand, I think a clean sheet could very easily happen. We just saw Palace get a clean sheet versus Wolves. Luca Dean offers you some upside. I'm a bit on the fence on Aston Villa. I must say, I'm not settled on this at all. And I could use, say, Watkins' money to go and pick a Mateta or pick an Mbermo or a Bruno and have a bit of investment in that Palace versus Man United fixture. Maybe that's where I land. In fact, let me talk about that Palace United fixture and a couple of the other ones. So I just look at it and go, am I being silly on free hit 13, back in a team like Villa, who I don't really rate, to then ignore Palace and United players, and maybe even Saka at Arsenal, highly owned players that I own, and Burmo, Saka, Sarr and Mateta. I'm not going to have them all, of course, but do I have one of them? Maybe I do. And who do I like most? Well, maybe Man United attack, maybe Mbermo, maybe Saka. It's a real tough one, that. I don't think I'll go Saka because he's expensive. But I think I could go for a Sarr, a Mateta, or an Mbermo instead of, say, an Ollie Watkins. Let's see where I land. I don't know how I feel about double Villa. It feels a little bit naive. It feels it's purely a fixtures play, but I think that might be a bit silly. Let me know in the comments what you think to that. Obviously, I started the season with Watkins and he was pants. Don't know where I land there. Guys, by the way, I'd love you to subscribe and like the channel if you can. I know I've plugged it already today, but for the second and final time, do hit that like button. It helps the algorithm. And thank you for subscribing if you've enjoyed the video. We're going to talk about another team that's been rubbish, but you've got to have Liverpool, haven't you? I've got Salah and Szoboszlai. Szoboszlai is their best player this season. He's not missed a single minute. Even when he plays right back, he's inverted and high. Again on Saturday, he was Liverpool's best player. He's the chief creator. He gets DEFCON. He shoots from distance. He's on a lot of the set pieces. Szoboszlai is going to be in this team, I think. And then you've got a chance it with Mo Salah, haven't you? Let's see what they look like on Wednesday night. It's Saturday, Wednesday, Sunday. The turnaround's fine. I'm not worried about minutes in their legs. I need something from Salah, and PSV is a good fixture. PSV is an easier opponent, probably, than Nottingham Forest, right? Let's see how they get on. It's at home. They then go to West Ham. Not the best, but I've got fond memories of Salah doing well at West Ham. And I think if you're on free hit, you just got to chance it. He is still the guy with all the routes to points when Liverpool are playing well. You've got the money. I think you've got to go with Salah. Would you captain him? Not a chance. Would you pick him in your team? I think we probably should. I think Szoboszlai is still a good shout. And I think Salah's great on free hit. I think he's a terrible buy. I think he's great on free hit still. And I know you're all going, but Liverpool are rubbish. But this is West Ham. West Ham have been rubbish. West Ham got absolutely battered against Bournemouth. I don't know how they got the draw. I think I've just got to go for it. Gakpo's worth thinking about. Isak, Ekitike, depending on their minutes against PSV, maybe worth thinking about, depending on their form. If Isak goes and gets a hat-trick versus PSV, you put him in your free hit, don't you? So let's see where we land. A lot of this, with Man City and Liverpool in particular, is reacting to the Champions League. The likes of Villa and Forest, I'm not really reacting to their Thursday night fixtures. I don't think, even Spurs. But the Champions League teams, Man City and Liverpool, we are reacting to what we see. Fortunately, we're going to get a little bit of time because Man City play on Tuesday, Liverpool play on Wednesday, and we get a little bit of time, and I'll put out a final version of this team on Friday when I've reacted to all of it. I'm not going to tell you who's locked and who's not at this stage because I probably don't know with clarity. But I think my team will look very, very similar to this. And I will definitely be chasing the form. Will I go for a sprinkling of the template, i.e. the Man United or the Arsenal or the Palace attack? Not Arsenal. I don't think I'll go there. I could cover that Crystal Palace and Arsenal fixture. I'm not going to show you the other 3 spots because who cares?